On today's show, how did Giannis Antetokounmpo score 7 points and the Bucks still win a game? Plus,
count it up.
Ben Simmons escaped, but where did he go? We'll talk about that and more on today's Locked On NBA. Let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are Locked On to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen each and every day. We are free and available on all podcast platforms, including YouTube. Let us know in the comment section below on YouTube, who are your 2 stars of the night? Giannis with his 7 points, 18 boards, 10 assists, maybe him. Alfred Şengün got a triple-double and a loss, which is a win for the Rockets, I guess. Let us know who your 2 stars are in the comment section on YouTube. And joining me, as always, my co-host on a Thursday, host of Locked On Bulls. What you got for me, Pat the Designer?
We going for the 2 or the 3 or the foul? I don't know. I don't know what's happening in Chicago anymore.
Zach LaVine is confused, and so is Pat. Pat has been taken out of the play completely. Today we'll get into the Bucks versus Hawks game. A weird one that's one of those games that I just love in the NBA where you're like, wait, what just happened? How did that? And then another weird one where the Bulls, we'll go over Bulls Wizards. What was Zach LaVine thinking at the end of the game? We'll talk about that. Pat knows all about that as his beloved Bulls drop one. Oh,
that would hurt, dog. That would hurt. I'm not gonna lie. That would hurt.
Everyone listening on the audio, I wish you could see his face right now. You can go to YouTube and check out his face. Then we'll go over Boston with the Pelicans. Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum just overpower and are too good. And then we'll play our favorite game each and every week,
count it up,
where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, including Ben Simmons escaping from the Nets. All right, the Milwaukee Bucks get the win against the Atlanta Hawks. No Trae Young in this game. No Clint Capella for the Hawks. No Chris Middleton for the Bucks. And I gotta say, I'm pretty sick of hey, does this game matter because there's no star player on one team, there's no this player on another team? It's just getting, like, if you want to devalue the regular season, it's happening with all these guys being out. But I think there's some things you can take from this game because the Bucks have had these offensive issues. They're second in the NBA in defensive rating. They're 24th in the NBA in offensive rating. Pat, here are the teams that the Bucks are better than offensively, according to Cleaning the Glass. The Pistons, the Spurs, the Magic, the Rockets, the Hornets, and the Clippers. Those are the only teams the NBA title pick for lots of people, including myself, Milwaukee Bucks are better than offensively. And so they come into this game, no Trae Young, no Clint Capella for the Hawks. The Bucks build up a 24-point lead in the third quarter. Feels like everything's going right for them. They hit 12 of 24 threes in the first half. Giannis only takes 6 shots in the first half. And then in the third quarter, the bench for the Hawks takes over. They go on a 12-2 run. They cut it to 10. Then they eventually cut it down to a tie game in the fourth quarter. Bogdanovich and Hunter scoring big for the Hawks in that run. And then Bogdanovich hits a shot to give Atlanta their first lead of the game with 3 minutes to go. And you're like, oh my gosh, are the Bucks going to blow this game? A 24-point lead. That would have been the biggest blown lead in the NBA this season. Jrue Holiday then comes up big for the Bucks when they really needed him. Gets fouled with 2 minutes to go, hits 2 free throws, hits a jumper with 2 minutes to go. And then he misses a 3 with about a minute and a half. Giannis gets a huge offensive rebound that they desperately needed. Kicks it out to Javon Carter. He hits a 3. That's pretty much the game, but Jrue Holiday seals it with another jumper he hits. And it was just one of those games where you need a second star. Jrue Holiday stepped up, but Giannis, man, that's such a weird game for him to have. Finishes with 7 points, only took 10 shots and 4 free throws.
Definitely a weird game. I think the big thing here is, though, that he didn't just disappear from the game, right? Then that's the one thing about superstar level players, right? The shot wasn't going the way that he wanted it to go. You know, a lot of people say, Giannis, just go Giannis, right? You go down there, you dominate. But instead, what's he do? He still gives you dominating production on the boards. He still goes out there. And listen, for anybody who's still having the, who was it Gilbert Arenas that was having the Giannis isn't skilled conversation early on in the season? Wasn't it him?
The what?
You know what I mean? Like, It's like if at any point this year, like you think that Giannis hasn't improved his game, his skill set, right? 10 assists tonight. He was moving the ball around. He was finding his guys the open, and those are the things that you got to do. Is it the Giannis night we expect? Absolutely not. But to get a win like this, right? You had to get everybody involved, and you got a lot of the other guys involved.
He honestly did his best, like Andre Drummond did Detroit, like impersonation that he could have done, right? 17 points, 18 boards, and then every once in a while, Drummond would have one of those games where he gets like 7, 8, 9, 10 assists, and you're like, wait, what? Like he just had the ball the whole time because they didn't have anything else. But yeah, that's the thing. If you have to get other people involved. Brook Lopez, 20 and 12 in this game. Drew Holiday finishes with 27. You get Bobby Portis, 13 points off the bench. Javon Carter, 13 points off the bench. The Hawks in this game had 46 points off the bench, like a ton of points off the bench. And the Bucks had 42 to match it. Like they really desperately needed that with the Hawks getting that big game off the bench. They needed somebody to come up big off the bench. They got it for getting other people involved. They finished with 28 assists as a team and 57 rebounds. Like if you get 57 rebounds in a game, you're winning that game. Like more likely than not, you're winning that game because that's just a dominating thing. But what do we think about this Bucks offense? Because they eventually got it going in this game. They were hitting their threes early, then they cooled down. They only went to the free throw line 11 times. They got all those rebounds, 14 offensive rebounds, which definitely helped. 17 second chance points. But what do we think about this Bucks offense as a whole? It seems like this is the thing that's really going to hold them back from being the real title contender. Everybody's pick to win the title that everybody had them at the beginning of the season.
Well, I think the most important thing is, right, you need the consistency from your second and third option who just haven't been there, right? Like Chris Middleton hasn't been available for you. Drew Holiday has been kind of in and out of the lineup. When he's in there and when he starts to feel like himself, right, I think that you will see a really good second option out of him as well. And I mean, listen, as much as I do question the Bucks right now, right? Like I said, and everybody on the last video was killing me. How can you question a 20, what are they, 27 and 14 or something like that team? Well, the reason I can question them is because they do have those moments where they get beat by 30 versus Charlotte, right? They do have those moments where they lose to the Washington Wizards like the Bulls did tonight. They have those moments. They lost where they go on a 4 straight, you know? Like,
to Cleveland, was it Cleveland, Boston, Brooklyn, and Chicago?
And the Bulls.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? And yes, are there reasons that they have those moments? For sure. Like no Drew Holiday, no Chris Middleton. That makes a difference to this offense. But those two have been guys that have been kind of in and out of the offense all year this year. And so you do have to ask the question, right? Like, is this team going to be ready to go in playoff championship level mode by the time the playoffs get here when you see this up and down? That's still early on in the season. We're still way too early in the season to be having that conversation yet, but it does show you just right, like there's limitations to this team. It sometimes it can't just be the Giannis show every night. There's limitations to this team when you don't have Chris Middleton in the lineup and or Drew Holiday.
That's the key to me. They just don't have Chris Middleton. He's been an all-star 3 times in this league. He's played a ton of games in his career. He's like barely missed a lot of time, and now he's missing a ton of time in this season, and it's really showing. They're built on Giannis can get a shot in the post or in the pick and roll or in different ways. Chris Middleton can get his shot isoing. Drew Holiday can get his shot doing anything else, right? That's basically how they've built this team. They have some 3-point shooters around them, and they have this ecosystem that's just built to, all right, we can score enough points, and our defense is going to be incredible with Giannis, Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez. Like those are defensive player of the year candidates right there. But they just don't have enough offense to make up for it with Middleton out. It just takes out such a big cog in that offensive wheel for them. And I really think that's the only thing. A lot of people are talking about, well, should they go get a point guard? Should they do? It's just got to be Chris Middleton. Like that's the answer for him to come back. And if he's not ready to come back, then that's a really interesting proposition. Then you need a lot from Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton, Javon Carter that is kind of like found money for them, that he's been pretty good this season. He hit 4 threes, including 3 in the fourth quarter in this game. They're bringing back Joe Ingles. Like there's talk about Joe Ingles, and they're excited about him coming in right now.
I do think you have to find that, not to say that I think that, right, like Chris Middleton can't be that guy, but we do know Chris Middleton goes through those. Chris Middleton's a very high and a very low guy on the offensive end, right? He'll put up 45, and then in the next game you'll see him put up, 12. And so you do. I think you do have to have that other guy that you might be able to go to offensively. A lot of those guys are just down low right now, right? It's Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis. Those are the guys that they're in the paint. They're down there, and if you got a good paint presence, right, that's not the 3-point shooting that this team hoped that it was going to add with Joe Ingles, who basically hasn't been. He's been kind of in the same situation with this team. So I wouldn't say don't go out there and look for some of those guys. I think some of the names they're attaching to them a little, right? Like it's just like, we're going to get Jordan Clarkson. It's like, oh, okay, are you now? You know what I mean?
Thought we got rid of
package Wes Matthews, Serge Ibaka, and George Hill. You send us Jordan Clarkson in a second.
They do have like a 2029 pick they can send out, actually. And if they just send out this, like a couple of New Orleans picks they could just send out and maybe like get some of their picks. But yeah, and then they have some seconds I guess they could send out too. But yeah, if a trade is coming, that'll be interesting to see what happens with the Bucks. But they got over their offensive issues for this game, found a way to win. That's what championship teams do. Coming up, let's talk about a team that didn't get it done, that couldn't figure it out, and couldn't figure out what was going on at the end. What was Zach LaVine doing at the end of the Wizards-Bulls game? We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Built Bar. It's a protein bar. Tastes like a candy bar. If you're looking for a delicious treat, but you don't want all the fat, you don't want all the calories, you got to try a Built Bar. I literally just went to the website today. I love these. I actually ordered some on my own. They send us boxes every once in a while, and I bought this one. The Brownie Batter Puffs are delicious. It's a chocolate bar, 100% chocolate on the outside, marshmallow fluff in the middle, tastes like brownie batter, 140 calories, 17 grams of protein, 6 grams of sugar. That's it, 6 grams. You know how many Mountain Dews, 6 grams of sugar, like how many Built Bars you have to eat to have the same number of grams of sugar? It would be like, what is it? It's like 8. You'd have to eat 8 Built Bars in order to get 1 can of Mountain Dew's worth of sugar at that point. That's the difference. That's the Built Bar difference. They also taste really good. Go check them out. You can get them right now at Walmart. You can get them at Sam's Club. Go to the pharmacy section at Walmart. You can get them. You can also still get them on their website. 15% off site-wide today. So go check it out. It's built.com. All right, Pat. Woo. Your Chicago Bulls go into Washington, and no DeMar DeRozan for the Bulls, but no Bradley Beal for the Wizards, no Kristaps Porzingis for the Wizards, and you're like, okay, I feel like we can beat this team. They build up a 16-point lead at the beginning of the third quarter, and you're like, all right, they can just hold on to this, play some defense. And then we get to the end of the game, and this is the part that I really want to focus on. 31 seconds left. The Bulls had done this crazy loose ball, like guys flying all over the place. No one's calling a timeout. Caruso finally falls on it, calls the timeout. 31 seconds left. 1 second left on the shot clock. The Bulls are, they're down by 3.
Yep.
They inbound the ball to LaVine. He turns and shoots. That's all he has time for. 1 second left. Turns and shoots. Ties it. Like an incredible, incredible shot that should go in LaVine's like all-time highlights package, right? When you put it together. Then you go to the other end. Kuzma with the ball. Goes all the way to the right wing. Bulls have a foul to give and don't give it. Kuzma nails a fadeaway 3 to go up 3 with 6 seconds left. The Wizards are now winning up by 3. And then the inbounds from the Bulls. Zach LaVine gets the ball. It seems like he gets met by 2 defenders at the 3-point line, steps through them, and then takes like a weird continuation 2-point shot when they're down 3. It was just a weird play overall because he didn't go for the 3. He tried to go for the foul. What was Zach LaVine thinking at the end of that play?
All that I can think with that he was trying to do there, because even Billy Donovan said the play was drawn up for the 3-point shot. All he was trying to do was take the foul there. You reset, you go back, and you try to, get a look after seeing what their defense is. They had a foul to give, basically. They were going to use that. They tried to use that, in fact. Zach LaVine said that they came up to him after and was like, we fouled you, right? And even the ref said, hey, we missed that call, right? Per Zach LaVine. Of course, the last 2-minute report will come out and it'll probably say the same thing. But
Zach LaVine was fouled in the act of shooting and should have gotten 4 free throws.
Yeah, but this game shouldn't have come down to that moment. The only thing I could think he was thinking was, I'm going to get the foul and reset it. But even in that situation, right, on the take foul, you're getting a take foul trying to go up there, but you're going up for 2. You knock down 2 at the free throw line, then you've got 3 seconds left to work with. You still got to foul them. They go down on the other end. You still got to get the ball back up court, get another play drawn up, and get a shot off. Yeah, not to say it's impossible, but you're making things harder on yourself. I don't know if the 5.7 seconds with the 3-point shot was going to be ideal. When I look at the play, how it was drawn up, right, it gave Zach a couple of options to go to, but I don't blame Zach for at least trying to take a shot on his own in that situation, because a lot of people are saying he should have gone to Vooch in that situation. You got to make that pass to the open man. He made the pass to the open man all night, and nobody else can knock down a shot except Zach LaVine. So I'm going to go with the hand that I trust right now. I would say that was a pretty there was a couple of moments where the IQ could have been higher at the end of the game, but and not just from Zach LaVine, even Patrick Williams diving on the basketball, trying to pass it to Alex Caruso with the last 30 seconds left. You're like, take that time out when you got 6 on the shot clock and not 1. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of boneheaded plays, and you know what? At the end of the day, it came down to a game-winning shot. But you give up 41 in the third quarter and get outscored by 20. You're very rarely going to win those games, even though the Bulls have won a couple of them this year.
It was one of those games where it's boneheaded plays back and forth, and of course you're like, of course it ends that way with Zach LaVine like stepping through, trying to take the foul at the 3-point line, and you're like, okay, well, of course this is the way this is going to end. A win for the Wizards, and I don't know. I don't really know what to do with the Wizards. I don't know what to do with them right now. I feel like
neither do the Wizards.
I know they don't know. I feel like Kyle Kuzma could get traded, right? Like it feels like it's right for, but it's also a very Wizards thing to just keep a player like that and then let him go in free agency and be like, okay, well, he just goes and gets paid somewhere else. What did you think about his play in this one?
I love Kuz. I love that he's found his game. Ironically, I continue to say this, and I dare anybody to go back and see it. He figured his game out against the Chicago Bulls. There was a game where they let him, I believe it was DeMar DeRozan's game winner, where he was the one that was making it very competitive, right? And he was, it was like the moment he realized, hey, did y'all know I was 6'10"? Like, did anybody else, like, I should be down here making these moves in the post. And since then, right, I've seen him take off. I've seen his game develop. I would love to get a Kyle Kuzma via trade because I think he's a guy that he's not coming to your team looking to be the number one option. He's coming to be the guy that's going to put you over the top, and he absolutely has the ability to do that. He's a little bit of a defensive liability at times, but I mean, this is the modern NBA. Who's playing defense anymore? Teams are putting up.
Greg Popovich doesn't think anybody is. That's for sure.
Listen, didn't his team give up 147 points tonight? Like, I don't know if he's the one that should be talking tonight. I mean, they gave up 135. They lost a game 135, 129. I don't know if Greg's the one that should be talking about
Greg
defensive intensity.
Come on, Greg. Let's move on to the Boston Celtics versus New Orleans Pelicans. The Celtics, it was a shootout early. Celtics pulled away in the third quarter. The Pelicans cut it to a 1-point lead in the third quarter, and then Tatum and Brown just took over. Jayson Tatum, 31 points, 10 boards, 4 assists. Jaylen Brown, 41 points on only 6 3-point attempts. You don't see that very often from a wing in today's NBA. Celtics took Jonas Valanciunas out of this game. He only played 23 points. No Zion, no Ingram, no Herb Jones for the Pelicans. And you just look at, I just watched this and I was just amazed by what Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum can do. Brown hit shots all over the court. No Herb Jones, no Ingram for the Pelicans. So Dyson Daniels, like the rookie for the Pelicans, just getting worked all over the floor by Jaylen Brown. And you just see the difference in what the level of like basketball the Celtics are playing and what guys ripe coming into the league are playing. He bodied him. He's stronger than him. He could rise up over the top of him. He was just scoring in so many different ways. It was just amazing to watch those two.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. Me and you have both been high on Milwaukee winning the NBA championship again. We came into the league. We're still sticking with that pick. But what was our biggest complaint about these two last season? They got to figure out how to play together. They've got to figure out how to have these games at the same time. They've got to figure out how to be able to be dominant on the court at the same time. They figured it out.
Just straight up.
They figured it out. And you know what it is? It's they're playing off of each other so well. Like it's so much of I know when I drive, I know exactly where you're going to be. So if I need to get the ball to you, we're going to see that happen, right? I mean, Tatum tonight, right? 10 rebounds, 4 assists. Jaylen Brown, he's got 41 and 12. Like those are like. And that's telling you, right? Like these are your stars on your team. They're willing to go get the extra effort. They're willing to try and get down low. And those are the traits of teams that, one, have been to the NBA Finals, and two, are trying to make it prime to get back. And again, right? Like the biggest thing for me with this Celtics team, the biggest addition with this Celtics team, the reason that they're one of the most dangerous teams in the NBA, Malcolm Brogdon, the addition of a third guy that absolutely can go out there and get you a bucket no matter what. That might be the best addition of the offseason.
Cue Tracy Jordan. I am the third Heat. Like he can, from 30 Rock. He can be the third Heat, and just like that ball handling. We talked about the Bucks needing to add some kind of like playmaker, point guard. Well, the Celtics have been they've been in talks about doing that forever, and they got one in Brogdon, who can just come get his own. 20 points for him, 4 assists off the bench, and plus 17 off the bench. The only bench player for the Celtics that was a positive in the plus minus, and it was a big one because he can play with the starters, he can play off the bench, all that. So huge move for them. Celtics get that win. It's not a big win for them, but it's just another one of those like statement. All right, hey, we're the best team in the NBA, and they have their best record in the NBA right now, and they're playing like it. Coming up, let's play our favorite game every week, where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA. Ben Simmons escapes. Is it time to be done with the All-Star fan voting? Talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the place to get your jobs set. As a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on team members you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates with more efficiency by matching open roles with people that have the skills, the values, and the experiences to help you. Go check out LinkedIn Jobs. See what's available. See over 875 million member profiles. That's so many million to put in front of your job post. You can sort through all of those, and they make it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications, all on one platform. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Pat. Oh, every single week we look forward to playing our favorite game.
Count it up, count it up, count it up, count it.
Where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA. Yesterday, Christian Winfield tweeted, Nets reporter tweeted, Ben Simmons has escaped, Nets PR says. Won't be talking to the media today. The tweet has since been deleted, but that was not until the jokes were fired off on Twitter. It was one of the #1 trending things on Reddit. Ben Simmons escaping. Pat,
count it up.
Where was Ben Simmons going? and more importantly, maybe, where was he absolutely not going?
Ben Simmons was trying to get to Mexico before. And where he's not going to the basket. That's where he's not going. He's not going to the basket.
He's not going to the free throw line. He's not going to the basket.
He was trying to get out of there, man. He had the tunnel ready to go. He's in the locker room. He's actually got one of those lockers that pulls out. He jumps down and escapes the media.
He's
straight to Mexico.
He's not going to the Jenner's house. He's not.
You never know. Give it time, right? They like to run it back over there.
He's probably not going to go hang out with Joel Embiid.
Probably not going to Philly.
Probably not going back to Philly. Nope. He's probably not doing that.
Won't be at the strip club with James Harden.
You
never know. I don't see it. I don't see it personally.
He's probably not going to the trade block. That's a positive one. He's been playing well lately, right?
What do you mean, man? Russ and Katie reuniting in Brooklyn. Can't book it here. It's literally every time I hear a Simmons West or a Simmons trade or a Westbrook trade, I'm like, there's only like 2 people you can make this trade for, and neither of them want to go to the other team.
That was like the Westbrook Chris Paul trade back in the day, where you're like, it's the only option. Like that's all you get. That's what you got, and the trade went down. The Warriors and Lakers right now have a combined record of 39 and 43. So they're extremely mid. They're dominating the Western Conference All-Star fan vote right now. 10 out of the 20 All-Star spots belong to Warriors or Lakers. 10 of 20 of all the other 15. There's 13 other teams. 10 of the 20 players in the Western Conference All-Star fan vote spots are Lakers or Warriors. Now, fan voting for the All-Star only is 50% of the criteria. The media still votes, players still votes. But
Count it up.
is it time to get rid of the fan vote?
I don't know if it's time to get rid of it. I like that the fan voice is there, but it shouldn't weigh heavy. You know what I mean? It shouldn't
50%
be
too much?
way too much. You know what I mean? The fan vote should matter because it tells you the people that you want to see. And at the end of the day, that's what the NBA wants to know, right? Who should we put in here that you want to see? It's an all-star game. But there's also players that are deserving of it. There's also players that should be there. And so, I mean, for me, right, give me a solid 30%, something like that, where it's clearly weighted more by the guys that are watching the game, the guys that are playing the game, the guys that are most focused on
the fans aren't watching the games? Are you saying the fans aren't watching the games?
I'm saying that the fans want to see who they want to see. I'm not saying that they're not watching the games, but I'm saying that there's a lot of times where, right, like I believe Derrick Rose is second in point guard play, in point guard votes, right? Second or third, something like that. He was up there when I last checked. I don't know if he's still up there.
Was ninth in Eastern Conference guards.
So he's ninth now. Good job. He's the ninth best point guard in the Eastern Conference. He doesn't even play.
Yeah,
like sometimes he plays for the. You know what I mean? So like
he's ahead of Darius Garland according to the first returns.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And you know what the best part about that is? I know Chicago's showing love and they're supporting Derrick Rose. And guess what? I'd vote for him too because I want to see Derrick Rose play in the All-Star game. He's one of my favorite players. But that's when you allow the fan to pick the player that they want to see, even though, I mean, it is an event for the fans at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We as analysts, we as podcasters, we as sports writers, all the people at the Locked On Network, those are the metrics that we use with a lot of people when we talk about it, right? You go NBA championships, how many times did this guy win this award, all NBA, and then you say 15 all-star selections.
Yeah.
10 all-star, like those are the metrics that make people's careers and get people different levels of money and things like that. It shouldn't be left up to the fans.
The thing about the fan vote to me this year, where it effed up, basically, if I can excuse me and use that letter, they took Twitter out of it. So there's no longer like the individual votes. It's you go to the website, you go to the app, and you put in your whole thing, and you can automatically select, I want to do all the Lakers. I want to do all the Warriors. If you're a fan, you're just going to put all of your team's players on there. And that's where it messed up. We're like, all right, I'm going to go vote for LeBron to make sure he makes it in because he's my guy because I'm a Lakers fan. But I'm also going to put AD, and that's how Austin Reeves gets on there. He's ninth in the Western Conference guards. That's how Westbrook gets on there. That's how who else is on there? I guess AD and LeBron are on there. Well, but like Kevon Looney gets on there. Jordan Poole gets on there. Klay Thompson is on there with a ton of votes. Like that's how that works, and that's where they messed up in this one.
Yeah.
At a Clippers game this week at the Crypto.com arena, which I still think is weird. The arena formerly known as Staples. A female fan was jumping for a t-shirt that was thrown and jumped 10 feet out of her seat onto this like awning tarp kind of like tent thing and fell down. And there's a video of her just like laying on the ground. Thankfully, it looks like she's going to be okay and she's going to be fine. But
count it up.
I got to ask, how many drinks before you dive for a t-shirt on a tent in an arena at an NBA game? Because
here's the thing.
I have to imagine that woman had a few.
I don't even feel like it's that many drinks. The thing is, right, like how many drinks before you're willing to take a chance and it's not the right shirt size for you? You know what I mean? Like that's the part that I'm like, right? Like you're taking that leap. Like I know a lot of people that'll take a jump for like something free at a game, but it's like you're taking that leap and like you get it, it's a 3X. Like
damn.
That's a shot below the belt, right?
It's a medium, and you put it on. You're like, oh man, you give this to somebody as a workout shirt. Oh my gosh, that was wild this week. There's also a fight at Crypto Arena this week between two dudes, and these two guys got to be at least like I don't know, 300, 350. And they roll over one row of chairs. And they're on top, one's on top of the other, and they can't move. They can't get up because they've now fallen on top of each other. And the one just starts spitting in the other guy's face, like just over and over and over again. We won't do a count it up on that. I just thought that was wild.
There's no counting up for that.
Here.
Count it up.
What a week for Crypto.com Arena and the Clippers fans.
I was just concerned. I thought the running of the Bulls was only in Chicago.
Anthony Edwards this week had a comment about the Houston Rockets roster building. You never hear this from players, but Anthony Edwards will say anything. Him and John Morant, man, such great quotes. He said about Alperen Sengun, the Rockets big man, me personally, I think they need to build around number 28. That dude is something serious. We had a game plan for him.
Count it up.
What do you like about another player commenting on another team's roster building, Pat?
I mean, we talk about. I think it was more of a big up than a roster build type thing. But I have a.
He said they need to build around. They need to build around number 28.
Hey, listen, he didn't say we had the game plan for Jalen Green.
No, I don't think you need to at this point.
You know what I mean? Like that's. I'll say this. You know, like not for nothing, Anthony Edwards got a good eye for talent out here because Sengun's the one guy that I'm looking at on that Rockets team, and I'm like, I hope they let him go. I hope they messed that up.
Hey, years ago, Anthony Edwards called the Gobert thing. He's like, I'm not worried about Gobert at the rim. He's like, that's when he said Porzingis was the best rim protector in the league.
Yeah, he hasn't always right. He isn't always right, but you know what I mean.
But he wasn't scared of Gobert, and turns out that's been pretty true.
Yeah, well, you think he's scared of him now?
No, I don't think so. Sengun, though, 26 minutes a game. He plays the 5th most minutes on the Rockets right now.
Sengun to me, and I've said this, I believe I've said this over here. Maybe not, though. So maybe this is the first time over here. Alperen Sengun has the best back to the basket footwork of any big man in the NBA. He is a magician. When he's in the back down, actually trying to make a move going left, he can go right. He can fake you out. You try to pull the chair under him. He's got a sturdy base on him. Sturdy base, that weird. Don't worry about it. But you know what I mean? Like he's one of those guys to me that is destined for stardom. I hope that it does happen for him in Houston. But I watch him and I'm just like, dog, like, there's no way you're not getting him the ball more. There's no way he's not operating down low more because he reminds me of like a 90s big with great footwork.
Yeah, watching him versus Sabonis tonight was like, like a little Spider-Man meme, right? Like, like a little, like you can see that between Jokic and Sabonis and Sengun. It's like, the big man with post moves is like kind of making a comeback here. Like there's a couple of them now that have come out of. They've all come out of Europe, right? Different places, but.
Yeah, you know what the most wild thing is? The NBA is starting to realize yet again, tall guys are important in basketball.
That was a great point to the camera. That was a politician point to the camera. Was what you just did. Sengun's not that tall. He's only like 6'9", right? He's not tall.
He's 6'10", ain't he? Sengun about 6'10"? I mean, listen, that's the 6'9" would be power forward. What we got on the Sengun here? Trying to get to the roster here. I've got the betting.
You got to spell his name. He's listed at 6'9" on Basketball Reference.
Okay.
He's not 6'10" if you see him in person either. There you go. That's Locked On NBA today. Go check out each Locked On podcast, Locked On Bulls, Locked On Mavs. We're doing stuff each and every day. We had talks about trades today. I'm sure you'll talk all about Zach LaVine's bungled shot at the end of that game.
We more so talked about my prediction my feelings on Patrick Williams, but we did talk about Zach as well.
Now go make your second listen Locked On Game to Game NBA. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers each and every game from the NBA across the league with local analysis from us. Go check it out, Game to Game, on the Odyssey app, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA. Boom!